If you look in the mirror, you might notice that one side of your face looks different. Maybe one eyebrow is higher set, one part of your jaw looks bigger, maybe your chin is pushed to the left or right side more. These are all things that can cause your face to look asymmetrical, and facial symmetry is an important aspect of facial beauty. Facial symmetry is a sign of proper health and development, which is why we tend to find it more attractive. Studies have also shown that people with symmetrical faces were consistently, across all cultures and races, rated more attractive. So, although I'm still improving my own facial asymmetry and haven't completely fixed mine, I do want to show you what you can do to solve your facial asymmetry based on the cause of it. Of course, not all asymmetries can be solved, but we do have proven methods to solve most asymmetries slowly over time. So specifically, here's what we're going to cover. First is why slight imbalances are still natural and no face will be perfectly symmetrical. Second, we'll be covering the different types of asymmetries and how to identify which one you have. And third, we'll cover how you can solve your asymmetries over time based on the cause of it. Now, although I'll show you how you can improve your imbalances over time, you need to understand that this is not something that will happen in an instance. Facial imbalances will, for most people, take months or even years to fix, which is why I'm still in the process of doing it myself. I just haven't had enough time yet to completely fix it. So, the sole purpose of this video isn't to help you fix your asymmetries as quickly as possible, but to simply teach you which habits you can implement today so that these asymmetries can be solved over time. So I need you to understand that this is not an instant process and you will not see results 2 weeks from now. It takes time, but if you implement the right habits today, your asymmetries will improve over time. So focus your attention on this video. I'm going to show you what I understand so far about solving facial asymmetry so you can implement the right habits as soon as possible. So the first thing you need to understand, and this is important, is that no face will ever be perfectly symmetrical. It isn't physically possible for a face to be 100% symmetrical, and slight imbalances are natural to have. You will always have some form of asymmetry in your face. Even when you look at world-class models or actors, they'll also have slight imbalances in their face. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because I don't want you to get disappointed about the fact that your face will never get truly symmetrical. You can improve most of your asymmetries over time, but not all of them. And it also doesn't really matter to improve all of it. You simply need to fix 90% of your asymmetries to have the same level of symmetry as those world-class models and actors. So essentially, understand that fixing most of your asymmetries is all you need. You will not ever achieve a perfectly symmetrical face, and that is fine. So the first actual thing we need to discuss is the cause of your asymmetry, because imbalances can be caused by different things, and based on the cause of it, the solution will be different. So I'm going to show you which different causes you can have and how to identify which one or which ones you have. So imbalances can happen on 3 different levels. So the first is a fluid-based imbalance. In this case, your imbalance is caused by excess water retention or fluids in one part of your face. And this will by far be the easiest problem to solve because it's simply about removing excess fluids within your face. Now, the second cause of it are muscle-based imbalances. So in this case, your imbalance is due to one side of your face being overly developed compared to the other. For example, one of your masseter muscles could be overdeveloped due to chewing too often on one side. Muscle imbalances can also cause one of your eyebrows to be higher set than the other, which can also make your face more asymmetrical. Now, this one will be harder to solve than the first one, but it's still relatively easy to solve. Now, the third and final cause can be a skeletal-based imbalance. So in this case, your bone structure is the main cause of your imbalance. If your chin looks slightly tilted towards one side of your face or your jaw looks larger on one side than the other, you're probably faced with a skeletal imbalance. Now, manipulating your bone structure is probably the hardest thing you can do. If you understand Wolff's Law and joint suture theory, you'll know that changing the structure of your bones is possible even after puberty, but it does take a long time to do so. So these imbalances will be the hardest ones to solve. So throughout the rest of this video, I'm going to show you how we can solve each of those asymmetries, starting with the easiest one to solve and finishing with the hardest cause. So firstly, you can have imbalances caused by one side of your face holding more fluid than the other. This will mostly be due to water retention pooling in one side of your face, causing that side of your face to look more bloated. So to identify whether imbalances are due to fluid retention, the main sign is that it changes frequently throughout the day. You could look more puffy on one side in the morning and less puffy on that side later in the day. It could also change based on your diet, sleep, and other factors like these. So generally, if it looks to be puffy on one side more than the other, and it changes frequently throughout the day, this will most likely be the causes of your imbalance. So here's how you go about solving it. The first thing you need to fix in order to solve any fluid-based asymmetry is learning to sleep on your back. So this is a method that is often taught in the Looksmaxing community, and the main reason it is important in this scenario specifically is because whenever you sleep on one side of your face for hours on end, fluids will tend to pool to that side of your face more, and this can then cause you to wake up with one side of your face being more bloated than the other. So whenever you sleep on your back, it allows fluids to not pool into one or the other side of your face, and it will therefore allow you to keep your face more symmetrical. Now, if you've been sleeping on your side your whole life, starting to sleep on your back will be very difficult at first. So there's a few things that can help you relax your body enough so that it becomes easier to fall asleep even on your back. So the first thing you can do is train very hard before going to bed. A lot of people say this will make you more awake, but in my opinion, if you train really hard, which you should be doing, you'll be exhausted and fall asleep much more easily. Second, what you can do is take a warm shower. So opposite to cold showers, warm showers will activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is a rest and digest mode, and this will allow you to be in a more relaxed state, which will help you fall asleep faster. Then third, you can stretch your legs specifically, and you ideally want to do this right after taking a warm shower or doing a training session. This is because your muscles will already be warm from the warm shower or the training session, so you're not risking any injury. And stretching will allow you to relax your body and therefore fall asleep more easily. And then fourth, you can meditate right before bed, which will again relax you and make it easier for you to fall asleep. So if you want to avoid having any fluid pull into one side of your face through the night and wake up with one side being puffier than the other, start by sleeping on your back. And if you find it hard to do, you can train hard, take a warm shower, stretch, or meditate right before bed, all of which will help you fall asleep more easily. So secondly, what you can do to remove fluid retention is through what's called a lymphatic drainage massage. So your lymphatic system essentially acts as a drainage system for your body, and when that system doesn't work properly and becomes sluggish, it becomes less efficient at removing fluids and toxins, and fluids can then accumulate in your face, making you look more puffy. The way lymphatic drainage then helps with that is through stimulating your lymphatic system, making it more efficient at removing built-up fluids and puffiness in your face. So the way you want to do it is the following. So you want to start by washing your face and hands and making sure that they are both wet. Okay, this will make your face smoother and allow for better movement. Once you've done that, you want to massage the following areas. So you want to start by going from your ears to your neck 5 to 10 times, then from underneath your chin alongside your jaw to your ears, then from your nose to your ears, then underneath your eyes back and forth if you want to deep off your eyes, then from your forehead to your ears again, and to finish off, you want to do a final neck massage as you did in the beginning. So this is something you can do once a day if you're trying to reduce any buildup fluids, but if you're simply trying to maintain a good lymphatic flow, 2 to 3 times a week will be enough. So this will help you both immediately and in the long run, so I would just find a rhythm that allows you to do it consistently. Now, the final thing you'll need to do is improve your dietary intake. So this is technically one of the first things you should be focused on, but the difference between the first two is that it doesn't directly affect the asymmetry. It will affect your overall facial bloating, but you won't be able to directly target one side of your face with this. So nonetheless, it's still important to fix your diet. So in terms of improving your diet for facial bloating, there's 3 rules you need to follow. First is to make sure you have proper hydration. It's important you have enough water every single day because this will signal to your body that it doesn't need to hold on to any. Whenever you don't drink enough water, your body feels like it has to hold on to any water it currently has, which can lead to more water retention. Therefore, by drinking enough water, you signal to your body that it has access to enough water and it therefore doesn't need to hold on to as much of it. So in terms of quantity, just make sure you have about 2 to 3 liters a day minimum. Now, second, make sure you balance out your sodium and potassium intake. So in a nutshell, sodium or salt will tend to hold on to more water, and potassium helps flush out any excess sodium. So through the reduction of sodium and the addition of potassium, you ensure that your body holds on to less water overall. Now, you of course still need enough sodium for your overall health, but the point is to reduce the amount of sodium you have and increase the amount of potassium you consume. So reducing sodium will mostly be done by removing any form of processed foods and reduce the amount of salt you put on meals, and potassium can be increased through consuming high potassium foods like bananas, avocados, kiwis, oranges, and so on. Then third, you need to reduce your sugar intake. So sugar, specifically refined sugars, will cause a big insulin spike in your body once you consume it, and this insulin spike can lead to more water retention. Sugar will then also cause inflammation within your gut, which can also lead to more facial bloating. So overall, avoid sugars as much as you can, and in an ideal scenario, remove them completely. Also, when I say sugars, I specifically mean refined sugars. Fruits are perfectly fine, don't believe anyone who tells you the opposite. So if you follow all 3 rules, you've essentially optimized your diet to reduce water retention. Obviously, I could get into more detail, but these are the big things you need to know. So if you want to reduce fluid pooling on one side of your face, you'll need to start sleeping on your back, doing a lymphatic drainage massage, preferably every single day, and improving your overall diet. The first one will help you to not pull too much fluid into one part of your face. The third one will allow you to reduce your overall water retention. And the second one allows you to do both. So with a lymphatic drainage massage, you can either massage one side of your face, which will reduce the puffiness in that one side, or you can do it on both sides, which will reduce the puffiness on both sides. Now, secondly, you could have imbalances caused by a muscle being more developed on one side of your face than the other. So this will mostly happen around your jaw and eyes, but muscle imbalances can happen all around your face since your face is made of about 43 muscles on each side of it. Now, to identify whether this is the type of imbalance you have, first thing you can do is to just look in the mirror and see if you see a difference in terms of muscle development. If your masseter looks bigger on one side than the other, you most likely have a masseter imbalance. If one of your eyebrows is higher set than the other when you keep them relaxed, you probably have an imbalance in your frontalis muscles. So the first thing you can do is to simply look in the mirror. Now, a second way you could potentially tell if you have a muscle imbalance is if you have more muscle tension in one side of your jaw. If one of your masseters feels tighter than the other, you probably train that side more often. And then finally, the last thing I can think of is to simply think about your daily habits and think about whether those habits could cause a muscle imbalance. So if you tend to chew on one side way more often, we can assume that this side of your jaw will be more developed than the other. So try to identify through these methods whether your asymmetry is caused by muscle imbalances, and if you think they are, here's how you solve it. So the first place where you can have a muscle imbalance is an imbalance between both masseter muscles. So your masseters are essentially the main muscle your body uses to chew on foods. And whenever you chew too frequently on one side out of habit or something, it's possible for you to overdevelop one side more than the other. So the way you can solve this is by constantly chewing your food on the other side of your mouth until balance between both is restored. So instead of chewing on the side you're used to chewing on, you will start to chew on the opposite side. Now, when you're just starting to do it, you want to make sure that you don't start doing 100% of your chewing on that side because you might overtrain a muscle that isn't being trained frequently. You want to keep 70% of your chewing at most on that side and the other 30% on your usual side, and over time your imbalance will be restored. Now, you could also use hard gum and only train the weaker side, but I would recommend only using food because you're much less likely to injure your jaw in some way or another. So stick with food, use hard gum at your own risk, and over time, if you do things properly, your masseters will start to even out. Now, secondly, muscle imbalances can also happen when you have too much tension in your facial muscles on one side of your face. So if a muscle is continuously contracted, for example, it can pull your facial features towards the side which is more tense, creating an imbalance. So in order for you to relax overused muscles and release some of the tension, we can use something called myofascial release, which is a specific form of massage that can help you release some of that tension. So the way you want to do it is the following. First, you'll take your hands, place 2 to 3 fingers together, and start massaging each part of your face individually in a circular motion for about 30 to 60 seconds. So go over your masseters, nose, zygomatic bone, temples, and so on, and massage each area for 30 to 60 seconds as I said. Now this is something you can do 2 to 3 times a week, or once a day if you want to try doing it more. Now, the final place where you could have an imbalance is with your eyebrows. It's possible that one of your eyebrows is higher set than the other, and this is usually caused by unequal expressions. So you might have an expression you always use where you constantly raise one of your eyebrows, for example, and this can over time cause that one eyebrow to be higher set. So what you need to do to solve this is to learn to control the expression you have with your eyes so that over time the muscles you overuse with that expression start to weaken, and over time your eyebrows get to an equal level again. So practically, here's a few things you can do. First, you want to learn to relax your forehead. So your frontalis muscles, which are located in your forehead, are responsible for raising your eyebrows up. So whenever you raise your eyebrows, that muscle is activated. So what can happen is that you activate one side of your frontalis every single time, and this can cause that one side to be stronger. Therefore, by reminding yourself to relax your forehead throughout the day, you stop overactivating those muscles. Then second, what you can do is the same myofascial release as we spoke about earlier, but on your forehead. So it's possible that you might have some tension in your forehead, and that tension causes one side of your frontalis to be continuously activated, and that can cause one of your eyebrows to be higher set. So same thing as before, place 2 to 3 fingers together and massage your frontalis in a circular motion for about 30 to 60 seconds. Now third, what you can do is specifically train your weaker eyebrow. That way you strengthen the eyebrow that never gets raised, and when you do make an expression, you'll tend to raise both eyebrows more often than just one of them. So the way you want to do this is by holding your strong eyebrow into place and trying to raise your weaker eyebrow upwards and training it that way. So if you're trying to improve your eyebrow symmetry, try to first keep your forehead relaxed, which will equalize both eyebrows over time, potentially release some tension in your forehead through myofascial release, and potentially train your weaker eyebrow to equalize the level of strength between both eyebrows. So this is pretty much how you can solve facial asymmetry if it's being caused by muscle imbalances. If you have a masseter imbalance, train the weaker side more often. If you have an imbalance due to muscular tension, release it through myofascial release. And if you have an eyebrow imbalance, learn to weaken the muscles that cause that imbalance. Now finally, you could have imbalances caused by an uneven bone structure. So the main places this will be visible with is around your chin and the size of your jaw. So if your chin is tilted towards one direction or your jaw seems to be larger on one side than the other, it will often be a problem with your bones. The size of your jaw could also be a muscle imbalance, so it could technically be both. Now, before I explain which methods you can implement, you need to understand how it's even possible to change your bone structure. So what you need to understand about bones is that their shape can be adapted through something called sutures. So sutures are essentially cracks around your skull where new bone can be grown. Now, in order to grow new bone mass around these sutures, your body will need a stimulus or a reason to grow new bone, and that stimulus comes in the form of pressure. So this means that whenever you apply consistent pressure on your bones, they'll essentially receive a signal to start growing new bone, and this is a process we call mechanotransduction. So this process is where mechanical forces are turned into cellular signals, and those signals are signals to sutures to grow new bone. Hope it makes sense. So through enough pressure, your sutures receive a signal to grow new bone or adapt your bone structure, and that is how the following methods will function. So that being said, let's go over each method. So the first method you can implement is again to learn to sleep on your back. So whenever you sleep on your side, not only are you pulling fluids to one side of your face more, but through the process I explained right before, you're also slowly over the months and years changing your bone structure. So again, if you want to optimize your facial symmetry, both caused by fluid and skeletal imbalances, start by sleeping on your back, and you can make it easier by utilizing the methods I mentioned before. Now, secondly, what can cause asymmetries is improper body posture, especially forward head posture where your neck is curved and your head is tilted forward. Having a bad posture can over time create asymmetries in your face, so it's important to fix that as well. So the way you can do it will mostly be to remind yourself to keep proper posture throughout the day. Because you're currently used to being in a bad posture, you will automatically revert back to that position throughout the day. So what you need to do is just remind yourself to put yourself in a proper position as you go through your day. Now, thirdly, what you can do is adopt proper tongue posture, aka mewing. So a lot of people like to say that mewing is BS, but if you understand the process from before, it actually makes sense. Proper tongue posture acts as a mechanical stimulus that signals to your sutures to grow new bone mass or change the structure of your skull. Now, mewing won't only help you grow your jaw forwardly over time, but it will also help it become more symmetrical. Any form of dental or skeletal imbalance you have will slowly balance itself out over time if you keep that proper tongue posture continuously throughout the day, every single day. Now, I'm not going to explain everything about mewing right now because I'll make a video on it in a week or two, so you'll know everything about it when it gets out. Now, fourth, in order for you to solve a skeletal imbalance is actually to chew on the smaller side more. So we spoke about how chewing on one side will allow you to develop your macros more, but the stress you place on your bone structure will also stimulate new bone growth. So by chewing on one side more, you allow your bone mass to grow on that side as well. So just practice the same thing we spoke about earlier. Now, finally, what you should be doing if you want to solve skeletal imbalances is to solve dental imbalances. The way your teeth are placed in your mouth can over time change the symmetry of your face. So it's important to solve crooked teeth either through braces, which will be the most efficient way to do it, or through applying proper tongue posture and expanding your palate that way. So, if you have facial asymmetry caused by a skeletal imbalance, you can improve it by learning to sleep on your back, keeping proper body posture, keeping proper tongue posture, chewing on the smaller side more, and solving dental asymmetries. So this is pretty much all you need to know to fix your facial asymmetry. Understand that asymmetries can be due to fluid, muscle, or skeletal imbalances, and based on which type of imbalance you have, the solution will differ. So, thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Start implementing the right habits today so that over time your facial symmetry will improve. Peace.